Ciao dear friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Joey Balestrieri. I am so excited because I have been playing with making rings and making them so that they are really easy to create. And I was also playing with my 2-hole beads, which is one of my favorite things to make. And this is such a unique but super easy ring to accomplish. I did this one because I had these beautiful autumn pink fall leaves. I did this one a size 9, a little bit larger for my index finger, just because I really wanted the 3 leaves on there, so I needed a little bit of space. But I've also done one with a 2-hole pyramid bead, and it is just so easy. It looks a lot more complicated than it is, and it's fun. And honestly, I feel like I could sit and make 50 of these at a time. So you will need 11-0 seed beads. You'll need some 8-0 seed beads, either one larger 2-hole bead, or if you have some smaller 2-hole beads, you could really play with that configuration. You will also need a clamp. This really comes in handy, and I am using the 49 strand bead stringing wire. It's a medium all-purpose wire from Softflex company, and my favorite is this copper color, and I only have about 4 inches here because it's a ring, so you don't need a lot. You can probably even go into your scrap bag and make this with your scraps. And then you will absolutely need the Softflex company number 2 crimp tubes. I'm using these gold filled ones. They come like this, and these are the very best crimp tubes for magical crimping pliers. I am so excited about this project. I'm finding that I can't talk. My words are not coming. But the magical crimping plier really works great for a project like this, because if you can see, that is the crimped bead right there on my ring, and you'll need 3 of them per ring, because there's also one on either side that creates the shank. And so the secret to a really good crimp and a beautiful little bead is a really high quality crimp tube, and the best that I have found on the market are these ones made by Softflex company, and they are gold filled, which is great for a ring because you're going to be wearing it, washing your hands, putting hand lotion on, so gold filled things really last for a long time without tarnishing. So you'll need that. And what else? Maybe your normal pliers. I have used them to help kind of pull things in, but this is largely a stringing project, honestly. So what I have out here for my 3rd one that I'm going to do along with you are these beautiful little brick beads that I just had in my stash. And I don't even know what these are called color wise or anything. It's one of those little things from my stash that I didn't have a label on. But I'm going to start with one of those little scraps of the bead stringing wire and string that on. And I'm going to, let me show you before I start stringing exactly what I have in my dish. There's my 3 crimp tubes that I'll need for the project. And I have here some 11-0 seed beads. And these are Toho seed beads, and they are perma finish old gold. So this is another one of those finishes that really lasts, which is really great for a ring. So that's what you see as my little dot of gold. And that's just necessary for most 2-hole beads to get the right spacing, and it's very small and very lovely for a ring. And then these larger beads that you see here are a round bead in a size 8-0, and this is also a perma finish galvanized. It's called golden fleece. There are a lot of different colors of gold. And what you'll need for your 8-0 seed bead, and just so you can see, let me show you on this, it needs to be big enough. These are the 8-0s here, and it just needs to be big enough to run through 2 wires through it. So when you're pulling out your seed beads, look at that. And then I did an orange seed bead on this one that's 8-0, and on this one I did kind of a pink lustrous. It's kind of a pink and orange blend, but just check to make sure that 2 strands of your of your wire will go through your seed bead, because that's what you will need to accomplish the ring band. And what else? For this one, I decided to do kind of this turquoise color. We have had a few boxes this month kind of diving into fall colors, and this pretty kind of autumnal teal is, you know, I've been using these colors for a lot of my summer jewelry, but I think with this copper and gold, I'm also mixing copper and gold, by the way, I think it's going to be really pretty and something that I can wear during the fall. You don't need very much, you guys. It's a ring, so you need a few seed beads. So if you have leftover seed beads from a project, you know, if you have a little bead soup of seed beads, you don't need very much at all. That is also the beauty of this. Me a little bit, but that's okay. I can corral those seed beads. So I'm going to start with just making a pattern on one of my strands here. So I kind of like the negative space in between these two whole beads. So I'm just going to kind of create a little pattern, dotting this with gold. All my projects so far for this autumn have been a mix of gold, copper, and silver in a couple of them, and I just love that look. So I'm just going to create a little pattern here. Okay, so once you have created your little pattern, I should probably put a clamp before, but you just want to make sure that you're happy with the pattern, and also that it's not too wide this way, because you have to remember this is a ring and it needs to go around your finger. And also decide if you're doing a larger ring for an index finger or a thumb ring, or if you want a more petite ring, then you would need this section to be shorter. So just be mindful of that. And now if you want to, you can be safe and clamp off. I'm gonna just lay this down on my mat, because that is usually an easier way to go. And I'm gonna repeat this same pattern on this side. So I'm going to start with one of those little aqua colored 11-0 seed beads. Put my gold ones out here as well. And I did an 11-0 seed bead and another aqua. And just make sure you remember it's a ring. So this is a really short piece of wire, and these beads will slide right off the other end, and I'm going to be brave and do it without a clamp. And then I'm going to run that through my brick bead, and all I did in the middle here was a little gold seed bead in between one of those little 11-0s. Sometimes, you guys, it is so difficult to stay in camera and film what I'm doing. There's a camera between my hands and my eyes, and with small seed beads and 2 whole beads, it is not easy. And for people that make this look effortless, it's because they're really good at it. But it's a little bit challenging to film and, you know, show everything. It's totally different than when I'm just working and just making something for myself. But I can get it in there. So there you go. I have that side going, and then I'm just going to repeat that same little 3 seed bead section there with an aqua. Okay, now once you have both sides of your ring strung, then you can take the clamp and just kind of get your beads down to the center and match up the wires. I mean, there's extra wire here for sure. Obviously, you don't need a ring that long, but it's good to have it because it's a working wire. And then I'm just going to get a hold of both of those with my clamp, and now it's time for the first crimp tube. So I'm going to bring that crimp tube in and string both wires through it and bring it down to my 11-0 seed beads. And this side is, you know, nothing is affixed over here, so this side is really easy and not crucial at all. But you do want to make sure when you crimp that, you know, your tube is kind of in the middle of this 2-hole bead, if that makes sense. I just kind of hold it aligned like that, and then I'm going to place the crimp tube in my magical crimping plier. Make sure it's right in the middle of that well, and I'm going to just align everything before I close the plier and squeeze. And so now I have pinched the 4 corners of that crimp tube, and now I'm going to turn it sideways and place that tube in the opposite direction in the well and close again. And now I'm just going to form that tube into a perfect little gold bead. Just go around and around until it's a bead. When you take the plier away, you have a perfect little gold bead. And now we're going to remove the clip and do the same thing on this side. And so we have just created our shank of our ring after this one's done. Getting ahead of myself. So now you do want to pay attention. And this is the one time when, you know, I usually say, oh, don't crimp when it's rigid. But this is the one time when rigidity might even work in your favor. So I am just going to, again, line everything up. I want to kind of just take my time and make sure that everything is sitting the way that I want. Make sure that these little tubes are right in the center of the 2-hole bead, and that all my spacing is the same. So like I said, the second side, you just have to slow down and make sure. And I think I have it. So now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just turn that tube into a bead. Okay, the beginning of my ring is done. I'm going to show it to you on this finger. Isn't that so cool? I love the negative space that the seed beads make with the 2-hole brick beads. And now you just create your size that you need. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to create a little pattern for my ring band using these gold beads. And now I put my 8/0 on, but put both sides through. And I think I'm actually going to start with one of the teal colored beads first. It just looks, I'm just alternating because my crimp bead is gold. So I'm just going to create a little pattern for my ring band like that. Before the band of the ring, both wires go through the 8/0 seed bead in whatever pattern you like. I have to take out a few more seed beads because this particular tube of 8/0 seed beads, I have a little pile here that did not like 2 strands. All of my other ones, the 8/0 seed beads went right through, but this one had to pull a few out of the pattern because the 2 strands would not go through. Oh, there's quite a few in this. Wouldn't you know, the color, I made my first 2 sample rings with 8/0 seed beads from my stash, and they were great. And the one that I'm filming, it is Murphy's Law that I would have a little pile of seed beads that won't go through 2 strands. Okay, so here's where you'll have to determine your size, and the third crimp tube comes into play. But before you commit to crimping, you can try this on, so you don't even need a ring mandrel. I mean, this is really so simple. So all you're going to do is feed on one side 2 of those strands through the crimp tube, and then in the opposite direction feed the other 2 strands through. So 2 ends, your 2 cut ends, are coming out on each side of the tube. So I know it's maybe a little counterintuitive, but 4 strands definitely fit through a Softflex number 2 crimp tube. And here's where, you know, you might want to just use your pliers just because you're pulling on 4 cords. And this is where it's really cool because you don't really need a ring mandrel. You can just check the size on your finger before you crimp. And, you know, then if you need to add a bead or two, or if you need to take one away, you can do that before you commit. But I do want to pull it the way that it would be crimped before I try it on. And I've just been doing mine so that I'm pulling the 2 strands kind of off to the side here and 2 strands off to the side here. And you just need to give yourself enough space to get your magical crimping plier in there. But this little ring, it's so cute, and you've kind of made like a little shank with seed beads. So let me see how I did. This one seems like it's going to be a little bit big for me on my middle finger. And I kind of do want this one for a middle finger. These could even be stackable. With the smaller 2-hole beads, you could make 2 or 3 of them in different colors and stack them the way we do friendship bracelets. But I do need to back this out to get my size right. So I'm going to pull this out, pull my crimp tube off, and I'm going to remove 1 bead on each side. And then just put it right back. And again, before I commit to the crimp, I have the opportunity to try it on, which, you know, sometimes with a wire ring, those final wire wraps, it's a done deal. And so if you didn't get your size right, you know, then you just have to do a whole nother ring. But making rings this way is so cool because you can play with your bead patterns and your colors. You can make them. I've done a couple that were larger, like statement rings. And, you know, you can play around, and really not much of an investment in material. Let's see how I did. Ah, that's perfect. Look at that, you guys. So I'm able to try on my ring, and I have my little ring part pattern done. It's the same on both sides of that crimp tube, and I have my little shank, and now it is just the final crimp. I'm just going to make sure that before I close the plier, first of all, that my crimp tube is right in the center of the plier and not offset. And also I want to make sure that when I close, I am not chomping down on the seed beads on either side, because then you really would have to cut this apart and start over. And I'm just going to give it that final crimp. I've pinched the 4 corners, and let me go in this direction. Just get that tube in there in the opposite direction, close it again, and now just go around, opening and closing the plier like we normally do. It's inside a ring, so you might have to, if you want to do a few more, readjust, you know, open and fit that bead back in. And honestly, this is so fun. Like I said, I could sit and make 50 of these. It was so fun. And so my little ring is crimped, and now I can just trim this away. And so this 49 strand wire can be sharp. So, but the nice thing is you have some malleability here. So just pull these beads out of your way and get that cutter in there as close as you can so that you don't have anything sharp on the ring. And see, I didn't get that one super close. I would say this is the trickiest part of making this ring, is that final little snip, but you know, go slowly, you can get it. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And my beautiful little ring is done. I really love this one. I think I would make more of these and do these stackable. That would be so fun. How they're, you know, how you would do stackable stretch bracelets or friendship bracelets. This is so cute. I love it. And I have an entire organizing bin of 2-hole beads. So I did this one. Where's my leaf? Oh, here's my leaf. I did this one. I did my fall pink leaf. These are so fun. So I really hope you guys will give this a try. It is just a project not to be missed. It's so delightful. I will put some pictures of these beauties up at the end of my video. And I thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear from you if you give this a try and if you change up your beads, what you find in your stash that will work for these rings. So definitely in the comments, let me know if you're going to give this a try. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you're all safe and well and having fun on your beading mats. Ciao, jewelry making friends.